one of the most haunted places in America. It's creepy. It's got a weird vibe, that's for sure. It's like that uncomfortable feeling. Plus, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on here.
Did you hear the footsteps? Yeah. Everything that's going on in my life, I don't want that right now.
Yeah! Oh my god, it scared me.
What's that? What is that? I'm on edge right now.
I am too.
When I heard a fucking
got me
demonic up there, I
freaked
was
out.
like, demonic?
What are we showing?
Scene. Oh. Ooh, I haven't filmed one. Hello? Okay. Fucking weirdo.
Now we're ready.
You doing?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, Kim, come on.
Welcome to In Between Two Ferns. Oh. What are we talking about?
So today, Mike and I are going to bring you guys the story of Bobby Mackey's, which is Bobby Mackey's Music World. Is that
Bobby Mackey's
World of Music?
Music.
Is it Music World or World of Music?
Music World.
I always confuse it.
Bobby
It's like
Mackey's
my
Music
dyslexic
World.
brain is just like wants to reverse them all the time. But yeah, this place is.
She gets her nerds mixed up.
That was so dumb.
I love it. Best.
I was gonna say recently we went to Bobby Mackey's, but that wasn't recent at all. It was like
about a year
ago already. A year ago.
Yeah, it almost was a year.
It was exactly to the week coming up. It'll be a year ago.
The first
exactly.
time, because we actually went twice.
We did a little follow up.
We did. First time was great.
It was. It was the second time. It was rough. No, Bobby Mackey's is a creepy place.
You know.
Not gonna lie. Aside all the goofery going on.
I will say this: it's one place that I've been to because like neither one of us had been there before.
No, and
Right? So it was like both of our first time
yeah.
being there, and like all the hype and like Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah, everybody was telling us too. They're all like warning us before.
Yeah.
Like, you guys be careful.
And we're
It's
like, whatever.
it's just all really
Dude, that place is legit. The first time we were there, I don't think we like knew what to expect.
No, yeah. The first time was kind of a big surprise.
Yeah. The second time we,
And that's kind of how it is anywhere you investigate, I guess, for the first time. It's like you don't know what you're gonna get into. You can hear all the rumors, all the stories, everybody's
Yeah,
saying
because
this
everybody
and
has
that.
their own interpretation of like places.
Yeah.
And, people have different styles of investigating and and stuff like that. And big name shows have been there and hyped it all up.
And that's
So,
the thing
like,
about, Bobby Mackey's was pretty notorious already. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Ghost Adventures had been there. There was like a big thing with Nick
Portals
Rock.
to Hell, like
And yeah, there was so much like
Yeah.
I guess media attention
Mhm.
on that place, so it kind of made it this super popular site. So I guess you expect a lot.
yeah.
It's either you expect a lot or you're like looking at
Or
it
you
with a
don't.
skeptical
Yeah.
eye. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
because
it's like, is
weird.
it-
Why
is
they
it-
hyping it so hard?
Yeah, is it hyped up for TV? Like, is this
Exactly.
place actually haunted?
On the very northern tip of Kentucky, about a half an hour from Cincinnati, Ohio,
Is America's most haunted honky-tonk, Bobby Mackey's.
Now, this place is shadowed by reports of hauntings, mysterious mishaps, and even murder.
Phantom specters are said to reveal themselves to the unsuspecting guests and staff.
Allegedly, this place is claimed to be home to a portal to hell. A little backstory on Pearl Bryan.
Pearl was a 22-year-old woman and was 5 months with child when she was heinously murdered by Scott Jackson and Alonzo Wallen.
Both Scott and Alonzo attended the Ohio College of Dental Surgery. Scott and Pearl were entangled in a romance, leading to Pearl's ultimate demise on January 31st of 1896.
Pearl was drugged with cocaine in a saloon by Scott and Alonzo, who proceeded to kill her by decapitation.
Although Pearl had sustained multiple wounds on her back and hands, it was the beheading, as she was still alive at the time, that took her life.
Her body was found on February 1st, 1896 in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Her head was never found, and later theorized the culprits burned the skull in an incinerator.
In May of 1896, both Scott Jackson and Alonzo Walling were tried and convicted for the murder in the first degree.
They were then sentenced to death by hanging, the last two people to be hung in Newport. Their executions were said to be brutal.
Neither man's neck broke when they were dropped, so they subsequently asphyxiated.
This case was so sensationalized, people were pillaging relics from Pearl's murder site. Papers all over were covering the case with fervor.
Even to this very day, Pearl Bryan's case is still talked about in the area.
Although Pearl's body was found 2.5 miles from Bobby Mackey's, that hasn't stopped patrons and staff alike from having seen her headless, restless spirit wandering the halls of this nightclub.
So maybe it's the atmosphere of this place that calls to Pearl, reminding her of days gone by, or maybe it's the alleged portal to hell that sits in the basement of Bobby Mackey's. But yeah, so first we're going to talk a little bit about Pearl Bryan, who was from Greencastle, Indiana, which is about 3 hours from, was it Wilder, Kentucky? So Wilder, Kentucky is where Bobby Mackey sits. So her body's found about 2.5 miles from Bobby Mackey's. It's at Fort Thomas. But there's this theory. So Pearl, she falls in love with an unscrupulous character by the name of, is it Scott Jackson?
Was there like an affair?
Yeah, that was it. Like Scott Jackson and Pearl had a long-standing affair, and it was kind of a, I don't know, a hush-hush sort of thing. Reading that he went to the school of dentistry and she was just some farmer's daughter.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
So he was
something
like
like
a
status.
predominant
Yeah, like,
figure.
you know, he was a more prominent guy in the society. Archetype.
Farmers were...
They were the backbone of this nation.
They were...
I knew it would be hard to work with you when I fell in love with you.
Hey, don't say that. Back in those days, farming was huge.
Definitely.
So they could have been Walla. They could have been a Walla family.
Could have been. He gets his friend involved. So him and Alonzo decide that they drug Pearl's drink with cocaine. And eventually they lead her back to, they don't even know where they end up going, but they go somewhere and they murder Pearl and they decapitate her, dump her body. Where they killed her, nobody knows, but this is where the story of Bobby Mackey's comes into play. It used to be a slaughterhouse. They think that perhaps they used that building to cut off her head using the drains and all that. And so it would be convenient for somebody to
dispose
without looking suspicious, I suppose.
No, they actually too though, like they beat her.
They do find wounds on Pearl's back and her hands, but there was evidence to suggest Pearl was alive when they decapitated. There was a lot of rumors and conjecture going around the area with the locals being like, oh my god, you know, that these men were actually involved with satanic rituals. But that's the theory as to why that well is the portal to hell at Bobby Mackey's.
And later on in the discussion, we'll talk about something else that tied her to Bobby Mackey's with something else that happened there. But it's just interesting because I feel like 2.5 miles away, they found her body.
It's pretty close.
Which, I don't know, the area that surrounds Bobby Mackey's is creepy in general, but I feel like it's possible that spirits are just drawn there.
Obviously a slew of ghost sightings at Bobby Mackey's, and what people describe seeing is sometimes a headless woman, which is what's drawn them to think that perhaps this is the ghost of Pearl. There's a few theories why. Either Pearl was potentially murdered there and her head discarded in that well and kind of being the gateway, like her being the sacrifice to open up that portal. That's one theory. Or is maybe Pearl just drawn to that saloon atmosphere?
Maybe it is a gateway.
Or she was just killed there. That's just one case tied to Bobby Mackey's.
One of the most haunted places in America. So that's pretty cool. Supposedly a lot of crazy stuff goes on here.
In 1850, before Bobby Mackey's became the famous haunted bar it is today, it was a slaughterhouse.
The basement of Mackey's still has the old drains draining the blood and carnage of the animals that were butchered there.
People still say that perhaps some of that dark energy from the old days still lingers here.
Some even claiming the energy is demonic, that in that damp, dreary basement lies the portal to hell.
Many who have dared investigate these claims have had intense and long-lasting effects from this evil entity.
One person who actually lived on the premises was particularly afflicted.
On top of Bobby Mackey's being a slaughterhouse,
it was also used as an alcohol distillery during Prohibition.
A large underground well in the basement made this a perfect location for such.
This well is what folks say is the portal to hell.
And it's here where strange and unexplained activity has taken place.
Now, as stated before, Bobby Mackey's was used as a distillery.
America in the 1920s was undergoing prohibition.
The ban on alcohol caused the mafia and bootleggers alike to capitalize on these new laws.
Speakeasies would pop up all over the United States, giving the people what they wanted.
Even though Kentucky was the home of bourbon,
the state passed a ban on alcohol 2 months before it became a nationwide ban.
Around this time, the distillery was operational until the law was reversed.
And in 1933, the building was bought by Buck Brady.
The original structure had been torn down, and a casino, bar, and speakeasy were built in its place.
The Primrose was its new given name, and it quickly became the target of mafia members wanting to get in on the enterprise.
Unfortunately, gun violence would ensue.
During one altercation with gangster Red Masterson,
Buck was prosecuted for attempted murder, leading to the Primrose being put up for sale once again. And the last topic we're going to cover is
the portal to hell.
He nailed it. He did that all on the first try. No retakes. The portal to hell is kind of an interesting topic. So people believe that Bobby Mackey's there's a demonic entity that roams around this place.
Yeah.
And whether it's demonic or negative, dark, whatever you want to call it, there is something lingering down there that just doesn't feel good.
No,
it's pretty freaking creepy.
We've witnessed it and felt it firsthand, and it's off. I don't want to. You know what? Like, I'm not gonna go out. I'm not gonna say it's demonic, but it's definitely off.
The reason for that could be a number of things. It could be these satanic rituals. Yeah, the reason that they think that portal, though, was opened up was because of the murder of Pearl Bryan. This was your place to go if you wanted to, I guess, converse, and I don't know why you'd want to do that. Get in touch with the dark side.
I feel like back in those days, like we'll just say from like the 50s to like the 70s, that was a big thing. People wanted to do that. There were so many
there was.
rituals.
Well, there was also the
spiritualism became a huge deal. A
Yeah.
lot of people were curious into the spirit realm.
Yeah.
They were performing seances. This is when we get like our original Ouija boards.
Ouija board.
Like they take it serious, trying to contact the dead. It's no longer this taboo witchcraft thing.
Exactly.
It becomes this almost like niche little party trick. Like this is where you
for
bring
real,
your friends over and you show them just how fucking
They
creepy
had
it can be.
gatherings to
They
like
did.
to do that stuff. So I mean,
Even some
Makes
noble
sense.
members in like the royal
Yeah.
house, the royal families, man, they were performing like, you know, these creepy seances where they had this huge
Yeah.
table. Oh, it gives me chills when I think about it because it was a time where I think they were just super curious.
yeah, they were curious.
Bobby Mackey's has been an incredibly influential place. I mean, this is like where some of the bigger named paranormal TV
Yeah.
shows have filmed.
Yeah.
A lot of documentaries have been made there. It's been the inspiration for so many like taboo topics. People that have, well, Bobby Mackey himself creating his own song, Ghost Adventures. Nick Groff did his thing there.
Jack Osborne, Portals to Hell.
There we go.
There's been a lot of. It's definitely been an attraction for the paranormal.
I would say this
So.
when you talk about the paranormal, I feel like Bobby Mackey's is like one of the meccas. It's one of the bigger places.
Yeah.
Like this is like your place of worship in church. You know,
I think
like
so
this
too,
is
yeah.
almost like your Vatican in a way.
And it affected people in a lot of ways, negative ways that have been there.
We can speak on
And
that.
we're gonna talk about
because
that
we were one of those
later
people.
on. So you can go on YouTube, you can go online, TV shows. I mean, you're gonna see things that people filmed there that are. I've seen some stuff. It's definitely unexplainable. So I mean, there's. We'll talk about it later, but firsthand, it's.
I was just gonna say. I mean, we can talk on it because we had our own experiences there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really is. It's just something you can't explain, and it was just so bizarre. And it has you like thinking days later, like, what the.
Yeah, like how is that possible?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
did
like-
that happen? Like, and it did. You know what I mean?
It
So,
absolutely did.
like, yeah.
So the portal to hell. Yeah, again, this is just one of the many hauntings of Bobby Mackey's, and the final one we're going to talk about is of a caretaker that had worked at Bobby Mackey's. Carl Lawson. So Carl Lawson, he was actually a former caretaker to when it was the Primrose. So he goes way, way back. He was the first employee hired by Bobby Mackey. He comes in, decides, Bobby Mackey and his wife decide they're going to come in, they're going to buy this place, and they're going to turn it into something it has never been before. Which is true, they do. It does become something it had never been before. So Carl's the first guy to join, and he lives in an apartment up above Bobby Mackey's, which is just so creepy to me. Just I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah,
There, just,
I can visualize.
oh, that atmosphere was just it was thick.
Yeah.
It was creepy. It was haunting. So Carl Lawson works there. I think it's like the late 70s, like I think 1978, and he resides above the building itself. Now Carl, he takes on quite a footing because he claims that he starts being afflicted by demonic spirits, which leads to him becoming possessed. And he's very overwhelmed by this. He talks about Pearl. He talks about it was him that makes the connection between Pearl Bryan's murder and Johanna. He's the one that reaches out to them. And he's like, it's like he's this psychic medium in a way where he's communicating with these spirits and he's able to relay who they were, why they're still haunting this building. And again, this is all from Carl's mouth. We don't have, physical proof of all of it. I mean, we know that Pearl was found 2.5 miles away. But as far as Johanna, I mean, she existed. But whether this is, again, and same with Pearl, she existed. But whether these are the people haunting the place, we don't know. Carl alleges, though, that he becomes possessed, so much so that this is affecting his everyday life. He's becoming sick with it. It's consuming him. He's becoming a completely different person. And this actually leads him to becoming exorcised. He gets a full-blown exorcism.
Right at Bobby Mackey's.
Right at Bobby Mackey's. It's performed. He was very open about the whole situation. I think he really just kind of wanted that sense of like, hey, I'm not crazy, like look at what's going on and I'm doing what I can to quell this. Because, I mean, when you're up against something like that, I mean, how do you approach it? I don't know, creepy topic, but
Very creepy.
he does. He gets exorcised, and whether or not this actually worked, it seemed that even after the exorcism, Carl was still kind of plagued with a dark cloud. Eventually, like, he succumbs really bad to alcoholism. He's just kind of a mess, and eventually he does pass away, and he was only 53 years old, so he wasn't even that old. And it's just, it's heartbreaking to think, like, and he did leave Bobby Mackey's, he got away and everything, but I think the effects of everything that had happened, it just took a toll on him physically, mentally, and he just
you gotta remember too, he lived at Bobby Mackey, he lived in Bobby Mackey.
And I imagine that energy
for years
just sucked right out of him.
Yeah, so I can only imagine the things that he saw, heard,
whatever he could have been a witness to.
Because we were there for a total of 8 hours,
and that was enough for us. That lasted a while.
Yeah, it was.
We're gonna get into that. I guess just kind of going over our overall experience at Bobby Mackey is like, what happened to us there? Do we think it's haunted? I mean, what's our, I guess, our overall deduction?
Absolutely. I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Do I think it's haunted? Absolutely. But firstly, I'm gonna tell you. So me going to Bobby Mackey's, I don't know, my first go around, just walking through those doors, you get like this blast of like cold air, and you can just feel the shift. It's like the minute you walk over that threshold, you know you're somewhere else. It's a very creepy feeling. And then did I see like full body apparitions or shit? No, I didn't. I kept thinking I was seeing shadows though. That was something that was weird. It was almost like things were playing tricks on my eyes. But that place did feel super creepy. The bathroom, I know they say that the bathroom is super haunted.
Yeah.
There's certain locations in the building itself that are alleged to be more haunted than others. Like they say the basement, they talk about the catwalk, the stage, Carl's apartment. I felt really uncomfortable in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. I felt uncomfortable in Carl's apartment. We were on, I don't even think we were like on a back area, and I remember I get like this burning, pinching feeling on my neck. And I thought it was like my necklace, because I always wear my little like rosary thingies.
Yeah.
It was nothing, I had nothing on, remember? There was nothing on my neck, and it made me panic, because I was like, what the fuck? I just spit.
Well, at that point too, like when that all happened, we were, all three of us were seeing like shadows just.
I know, it was like, it like peaked in that moment. It became so intense, like everybody's seeing something, everybody's feeling something, and I just get this like, it's like when somebody twists your skin, like when you get those like even a rug burn, it was that kind of feeling, and I remember I just like panicked and
you went into full blown
panic. I know, and you like ran over and you're like checking my neck, and everybody's checking my neck, and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was so on edge at that point. I was over it. I was done, and I think we had a little cleanse after that. This was only our first.
This was the first time.
The first time. We've been there twice, but the first time we did a cleanse, and that made me feel better, and I felt good. And
yeah, absolutely. Like leaving the building that night felt different than the second night.
The second time, I came in, I didn't feel as creeped out as I did the first time, but I think it's because I had already been there. I already knew what to expect. I was already familiar with this place. But I think it was just, again, the atmosphere always sets you off. It always makes you feel on edge. It always makes you feel creepy. The second time, it was towards the end. Again, it's always towards the end of an investigation where I feel like things start picking up or getting more crazy. Or
It's
just
like a certain time of the night.
It could be, because we also were on a time limit. Like we only had certain hours to, and I feel like it was the same both times. We were about there at the same time, and each time, just right at the end, because I'll come in strong, feeling good, but then by the end of it, it's like this shit drains your energy. It just takes everything out of you, and then it makes you feel so uncomfortable. You're just like, I just want to get the fuck out.
This one?
Yeah.
I took it wherever.
Yeah, just take the rope it down, put that on the ground.
Well, it's got it on the chair, and I'll see it all.
Yeah.
It's not like directly in there.
Yeah.
Dressing room. Whole building.
Should I put it down by the dressing room?
Another dressing room. Not very much the same.
Okay.
This is the well. Stairs to nowhere. Very creepy. And here, I guess this used to be like a locked room. It's kind of terrifying, to be honest. Like, I would lose my mind getting locked in here. See people come and do ghost stuffs. See you later. How you doing? How you doing? So this is the faces room, and people just see faces all over this wall. That one's kind of creeping me out. Looks like somebody looking through the blinds or something. I don't know. Very creepy.
Where's my shit yet?
As the club changed hands through the years,
It also changed names.
in the 1940s and 50s, it was called the Latin Quarter.
Owned by an unnamed mobster whose daughter Johanna was a dancer at the bar.
Now, according to legend, Johanna fell in love with a singer named Robert Randall.
Johanna would fall pregnant and plan to run away with Robert.
Before the two could elope, Johanna's father discovered the betrayal and killed Robert.
Now this sent Johanna into a frenzy.
She would poison her father and then take her own life and that of her unborn child.
Johanna would hang herself in her dressing room in the basement.
With all this tragedy surrounding Mackey's, it's no wonder so much activity is felt here.
And Johanna's ghost is no exception.
She's seen frequently, and it's said you can still smell her favorite perfume, rose scent. But I feel like the second time we went by the portal, we had more activity than the first time we went. All of our activity the first time we went was upstairs.
Mm-hmm. It was more in that stage area.
Yeah. So I feel like there was a lot of factors in the second time we went that made it unpleasant for a lot of us that went, and I feel like we were open and more vulnerable to.
Yeah, I mean, those things
Get
kind
what
of
happened to
sense,
us.
you know, when you're off.
I feel like overall though, it's a very interesting place and probably one of the most haunted places I've been to.
I have to agree. I agree. And that was going to be my final question is, Do we think Bobby Mackey's is haunted?
I can say without a doubt, Bobby Mackey's is haunted.
It's very haunted. Very haunted.
There's
Absolutely.
something there that I don't want to. I'm not gonna say it's negative energy, but there's definitely something.
A strong energy for sure. So something very powerful
Absolutely.
definitely lingers at Bobby Mackey's. But I mean, essentially though, that's Bobby Mackey's in a nutshell. That was our
Yeah.
experience. That was everything that we learned about it. A fun ride, obviously.
It was fun. It was fun,
because
and
I fell in love.
I did too. Would you go back there?
Absolutely.
I would go back there.
Go back.
I would go back.
I felt, for a long time, I felt like a little, I felt some
We hated Bobby
animosity.
Mackey's. The B word was a bad word.
I felt as if like that place did play a huge role in all the things that are going wrong in my life. Like it felt like it was impacting me in that way, and I just couldn't help but get the thought of Bobby Mackey's in my brain every time things were going wrong. Because I'm like, this is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Because it was weird.
Our saying was, and I can't say it, but it was effing Mackey's.
Yes.
Never a good sign. Oh Lord. This is fucking terrifying. I think they leave those cigarettes for Carl. Like a tribute? I don't want to walk too much on this flooring because they say it's very rickety and not exactly safe. I was really curious. I want to give you guys a good tour of the whole thing. Let's try to safely walk on over this way, okay? We'll keep it to the edge. Oh man. So the gentleman who used to live here, I don't even want to say it while I'm up here by myself. So I'm gonna wait until I go downstairs and explain this story. So here's the bathroom. Oh my God. What is this? What is this? Look at all those old... Yeah! Oh my God, it scared me. No! No!
What the fuck?
Sorry, I just wanted to check it out a little bit. You scared me. It's fucking scary. It's scary. It's very scary. I didn't even want to like tell the story of what happened because I didn't want to like activate nothing.
Guys, what are you doing up there?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I was just checking it out. Sorry.
I wanted to make sure you're up there, but like the fucking doors.
Oh my God, you scared me. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly.
In the late 1970s, Bobby Mackey bought the building and would turn it into what we know it today.
It was previously called the Primrose, and a gentleman named Carl Lawson was a longtime employee.
He was then hired on by Bobby and became the live-in caretaker for the place.
But Carl would be plagued by unseeable forces.
Now, Lawson would claim that he'd become possessed by whatever evil was lurking in the basement.
Carl was haunted day and night, also stating that he'd communicated with the spirits.
And learned the origins to the negative poltergeist residing at Mackey's.
He'd claimed the spirits of 2 slain females haunted the joint.
But one was sacrificed and her skull thrown into the well during a satanic ritual. Can you guess who that was? Pearl Bryan.
Yes, Carl claimed that Pearl's head was tossed into the underground well and it opened up the portal to hell.
The other female spirit was that of the deceased former dancer, Johanna.
Carl would eventually go through an exorcism.
But that seemed to do little to quell the misfortunes following Carl.
He would eventually pass away at 53 years old on January 27th, 2012.
But shortly before his passing, he had quit his job as caretaker and moved.
Still to this day, people visiting the old apartment where Carl Lawson lived leave tributes in the form of cigarettes, alcohol, or even money.
It's claimed that Carl is now one of the spirits residing at Mackey's, looking after the building from the other world.
We got more to come. So much more adventures, so much more fun things. We got a lot up our sleeves. Also, bye guys, thank you.
Peace out.
Thank you so much.